It's goody. How is everyone doing today? Today we'll be watching a video from Film Theory. It's Film Theory, Hazbin Hotel. There's no redemption, baby. You know the vibes, man. Let's get right to the video. I love all their videos, man. I'm a big fan of Film Theory, Game Theory. Yo, let's get to it, man. We about to start reacting.
Hazbin Hotel is just one heck of a show, right? I mean, in one episode, the one episode in existence, you have a killer premise, unbelievable animation, sharp writing, catchy musical numbers, and amazing characters to boot. I mean, in just 30 minutes, the pilot alone has more content than whole seasons of other shows. But before we get into the meat and potatoes of today's theory, I wanted to start things off with a mini theory.
Oh,
ready for this? In the show, we're introduced to what is currently my favorite character, Alistair the Radio Demon, an all-powerful being who, we're told, just appeared in the underworld one day.
Alistair manifested in hell, seemingly overnight.
And from there, he just wrecked house, showing power and control in a way that no one ever had. As they describe it in the show,
many have speculated what unimaginable force enabled him to rival our world's most ancient and destructive force.
Well, friends, my mini theory is that Alistair the Radio Demon gets his powers from none other than Gravity Falls' own Bill Cipher.
No way. Nah, chill.
The similarities between the two characters are uncanny. I mean, Alistair's microphone is alive. It also has that one-eyed thing going for it, just like everyone's favorite equilateral lad, Bill. Both Bill and Alistair trick you into making deals.
No way. You can't say Gravity.
Both ominously glow when they're making said deals. And the deals of both are seemingly sealed with a handshake. Both are closely associated with mysterious runic symbols that fly in and around them. Both also seem motivated by the same thing, boredom and a large desire to use their powers to create chaos for really no good reason. But all of that's superficial, right? It's all typical deal with the devil business.
That's just how it is.
It's the whole radio demon thing that gets me. Alistair's voice in Hazbin Hotel sounds like an old-timey radio, which is cool. It's very creative characterization, but it also just feels random. Too random. They even show an example of the types of radios that he broadcasts on, and they're the type that are pulled straight out of the late 30s and early 40s. Now, why would I care about that? Well, Bill Cipher is most closely associated with one particular song, We'll Meet Again, a love song that was made popular by the singer Vera Lynn. It's a great song, all-time classic. But why I bring it up here is that it was first made famous during World War II, which, wouldn't you know it, just so happened to be during the late 30s and early 40s, the exact time that Alistair's voice is drawn from. The timeline matches up. So could it be that the reason Alistair is so powerful when he first enters the underworld is that he has the powers of Bill Cipher on his side?
No way.
Probably just inspiration the creator of the series got from Gravity Falls. Still, it is.
So maybe the creator of the series watches Gravity Falls. Yeah, I agree. She's not bad looking too. So, but I don't think they're really.
This is my personal headcanon for now. But hey, that's just a theory.
A film theory.
And look, the episode hasn't even started yet.
Yeah,
hello, Internet. Welcome to Film Theory,
we're just starting.
Where we'll meet again. Do know where, do know when. It'll be 1 week from today when we have another upload. Hence, why you should subscribe in the next 5 seconds.
My man has film theory, game theory, and food theory. Jesus Christ, this man is working. Like.
By the way, while you're down there crucifying the subscribe button, leave a comment. Are you a Gravity Falls fan? And if you are, who's your favorite character? Just curious if that whole mini theory at the top of the episode went over everyone's head. It'd be pretty awesome to see Bill show up somewhere else one of these days. Something tells me not a show where one of the main characters is named after a drug. Then again, he did show up in I believe, an official Rick and Morty short, didn't he? So stranger things have happened. Anyway, you know what they say, the devil's in the details.
That's not the only place he is.
WandaVision, get out of this theory. You're done. You are done. We've dedicated enough theories to you. Get out of here. Anyway, today we're going to be looking into a project that a lot of you have been asking me to do for quite some time. Hazbin Hotel. This dark and very adult comedy aired its pilot episode on YouTube back in October of 2019, before eventually being picked up to become a full-run show in August of 2020. So I was kind of holding off until we heard about a release date or more news, but sadly, there's been nothing since. Hopefully, we'll find out more soon, because there are all kinds of juicy, weird things going on in this world that I want to go theory sicko mode on, but can't because there's only one episode and 2 short web comics. I would have just left it alone, but after Hazbin's sister series, heck, heck of a boss included freaky animatronics, I knew it was my time. Creepy animatronics.
He said I knew it was my
but they're
Snap.
kind of my bat signal. So we'll
Yes,
save
sir.
the juicy lore mysteries for when there's, you know, a bit more lore in the series to analyze. Instead, what I want to focus on today is the core premise behind the show. The main conceit of Hazbin Hotel is that there's limited room in Hades for souls, and the place is currently full to the brim, resulting in an annual purge event they call the Cleanse.
We lost so many souls, and it breaks my heart to see my people being slaughtered every year.
Our protagonist Charlie, Princess of Heck, hopes that as an alternative to cleansing each year, she can instead run a hotel that rehabilitates wayward souls so they get sent off to the good place, where obviously they'll meet Ted Danson and eat froyo.
So, I've been thinking, isn't there a more humane way to hinder overpopulation here in Hell? Perhaps we can create an alternative way to change souls through redemption?
And despite the fact that pretty much every character doubts that she can do it, well, gosh darn it, her and her ragtag band are gonna try. And of course, sing plenty of musical numbers along the way. But the question I want to know, what I need to solve as we wait for any news about this series is what—
how's an adult comedy? You know, it just doesn't really make sense to me. But, you know, let's keep going.
She has to do to make a difference. Like, if her goal is to replace the Cleanse by rehabilitating enough souls to clear out room in Heck, how many souls are we talking about here? How big does this hotel have to be? Just how outlandish are Charlie's plans? Long story short, when the population of Hades is bursting, what is it gonna take to reach an equilibrium?
Perfectly balanced, as all things should be.
That's right, theorists. Today we're pulling a classic reverse Thanos by balancing the population, except this time everyone's already dead. So let's start by outlining this crazy universe. Between the two shows helmed by creator Vivziepop, we've been told a lot about the machinations of this underworld. We learned from the opening song of Hell of a Boss Episode 2 that there are 7 rings in Heck, similar to the layout of Dante's Inferno, -2.
And if the 7 rings
Yo, this is... this is about to get copyrighted, brother. Be okay. Okay.
There might have been 9 at one point, as the 9 circles are referenced in the pilot episode of Hazbin.
What in the 9 circles makes you think a single denizen of hell would give 2 about becoming a better person?
But since then, apparently it's collapsed back down to 7, with each being named after one of the 7 deadly sins. However, despite there being a bunch of ring the layers Attack on Titan style, only the top
Attack on Titan, bro,
matters for our calculations today. You see, according to this official post on Twitter, quote, dead sinners can only exist on the top ring, Pride. Other rings house native-born demons, and human souls aren't allowed to travel between the rings. Oh, and Canadians are kept elsewhere because of reasons.
There's a town for the Canadians in Hell. It's just little Canada.
The Canadian part of Hell is just called Heck.
It's just
Don't you love it when lore is made up on the fly during a live stream? Now, as I mentioned earlier, because space in Heck is so limited, each year, exorcists sent from heaven are tasked with wiping out enough souls to make room for next year's sinners. And maybe that'll be fodder for a new theory after we get some more episodes.
Wait! Would that make me double dead?
So how many souls is Charlie gonna have to redeem each year to keep the population of the necropolis from swelling too high? Well, funny enough, the problem is a bit simpler than it might first appear. We actually don't need to know the size of Pentagram City, or the Pride Ring, or do things like we did during our Attack on Titan theory where we measured ring population
density. He did an
Attack
on Titan
theory? Because this time, we are told explicitly that the city is at capacity, and that the yearly cleansing is to knock that number back down. That means we only need to be focused on the rate of new souls entering their unhappy afterlives. If at the end of the year the underworld is winding up at capacity, well, Charlie would need to redeem as many souls as would wind up down there in order to maintain an equilibrium. And the good news for Charlie is that the rate of souls going into the afterlife is starting to stabilize. The past 150 years or so has been absolutely wild for the growth of the human population. In 1900, there were about 1.6 billion people on planet Earth, and just 100 years later, in the year 2000, that number had reached 6 billion. Fast forward another 20 years to today, and we're at 7.8 billion people. Luckily for everyone and everything on planet Earth, that number is no longer increasing at anywhere near the same rate it was back then. Humanity's growth rate is slowing, and for more on why that's happening, you can actually check out our classic episode about why Thanos' plan in Infinity War isn't as crazy as it might initially sound. Long story short, people are investing more time into their children, and are thus having fewer of them, causing
Yeah,
the
I agree.
population to overall level out. Sociologists have
Like,
made various estimates about where
for me, I only plan on having. Dude, how did he take a turn like this? He was talking about the show, and now he's talking about the birth of children. Like, what? How does he always manage to do that? And no one really calls him out on it. Anyway, yeah, like when I have kids, I only plan on having like 1 or 2. But
the population will eventually max out, but reasonable guesses put the total somewhere between 10 and 12 billion people. Certainly a lot, but also not super far off from where we are right now. The death rate is also constantly fluctuating, but has, in general, been falling for the past century. In fact, it's thought that the death rate actually bottomed out in 2018. Projections made by the United Nations already estimate that
this year, the death rate was pretty high because of COVID-19, so, I mean, I think it balances
rates
out.
will begin rising again over the next few decades.
It sucks. It really does suck. I'm just being...
As the population begins to age and as demographic shifts towards poorer countries put a larger share of the population in situations with worse medical conditions. But 2018's global death rate was 7.546 deaths for every 1,000 people. With a global population of 7.58 billion in 2018, that would mean that roughly 57.2 million people died in that single year. But of course, not all of those people are going down below, if you know what I mean. Only the sinners are. Now, in the show, we see depictions of all sorts of sinful activities, everything from murder to the usage of illicit substances. So, one way to solve our problem would be to take that group of 57 million deaths and figure out what % of them have engaged in one or multiple of the damning activities that we see happening in and around Pentagram City. According to data from the 2016 World Drug Report,
I love how he just spins it like this.
247 million illicit substance users worldwide in that year alone,
Probably
which
more
is
than that,
roughly 3% of the global population. And when I say they're using the stuff, I mean that they're using the hard stuff. The stuff I can't say on YouTube for fear of this video getting even more risk of demonetization than it already has. So right off the bat, that 3% translates to 1.7 million people sent to the deep depths below off of drug use alone. Homicides are thankfully significantly less, with an average of 7 homicides for every 100,000 people globally. If we assume that each one of those homicides is being committed by a separate person, which obviously isn't true, but is going to give us our worst case scenario, that adds another 530,000 new additions to our hotel guest list. That number is very concerning when you think about what it represents. The number of murderers on this planet is too darn high. For other violent crimes, the average is actually a bit higher, 12.7 per 100,000 people globally, boosting us by another 962,660 souls. So, after the substances and horrific violence section of our program today, we're walking around with a pretty sizable hotel already. 3.2 million souls, all needing to be redeemed if heck is going to maintain some level of population equilibrium. Eat your heart out, Paris Hilton. Princess Charlie has got your hotel chain beasted. See, that joke's relevant because Paris Hilton is super famous for being rich and having a bunch of hotel barons in her family. But the joke isn't all that far off from reality. As of last year, Marriott Hotels is the world's #1 hotel chain, with nearly 1.4 million rooms available for their guests worldwide.
Like,
Charlie's Happy Hotel already...
Bro, how does he spin this like this? You know what I'm saying? Like, use this real life stuff to talk about shows. It's like, it's just...
He needs more than double that amount. And we are still not done counting sins, my friends, because it's this last one where the numbers really start to skyrocket. Infidelity. Cheating in relationships.
Oh, yeah, that happens all the time.
I'm not promoting religion here or anything, and we all know that different religions can have some major differences. One thing that they all tend to agree on is that you're not supposed to be, you know, coveting your neighbor's wife and all that. But despite those warnings, humanity certainly seems to be doing a lot of coveting these days. According to an exhaustive review of research done on committed relationships published back in 2005, 40% of unmarried relationships and 25% of marriages see at least one incident of infidelity. Another survey roughly backs this up. 20% of men and 13% of women admit to having a fling with someone other than their spouse while married. So I'm gonna split the difference here and say that
men cheat higher than women.
30% of people are skis balls who have cheated at at some point in their life. Y'all suck. As someone who was cheated on in the past, I hope the radio demon eats your heads off. And it looks like he's gonna have plenty to feast on because that suddenly jumps us up by, get this, another 17.3 million sinners, sending our grand total to 20.5 million new sinner denizens of Pentagram City waiting to get purged each and every year, requiring the single biggest rehabilitation initiative you could ever need. Might
in the
wanna
world.
Consider getting more help for that front desk there, Charlie. Now, obviously, a lot of these people might be overlapping in their sins, right? Not all of these are mutually exclusive to each other. So maybe I'm going about this all wrong. Maybe this isn't about me judging other people based on their sin totals. Maybe the difference between heaven and heck is like those stupid reviews that you have to do at your job. A self-review. Assess yourself for how well you're doing at your job. I mean, why is this a thing? Like, this drove me nuts when I was working in an office environment. And even today, working on YouTube. Yes, thank you, I'm doing fantastic. Look, today alone, I dredged up stats about infidelity and illegal usage of mind-altering
And you had 3
substances.
channels, dude. You're doing
really
really well.
But seriously, guys, some of you missed the memo about always giving yourself a good review, because when people were asked to self-report about whether they would go to heaven or to the other place, 10% of people said that they were definitely going to the bad place. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. Another 42% said that they weren't sure. And if they're not sure, well, pretty sure St. Peter at the pearly gates ain't gonna be giving you the benefit of the doubt. By those numbers, that 20.5 million souls was an understatement. Now we're talking closer to the range of 30 million.
Yo, this may just be bringing numbers out of anywhere.
Friends? Well, when asked, 72% Americans who believe in heaven rate their chances of going to heaven to be good or excellent. All right, doing a little bit better on that one, America. But they also turned around and said that 1 in 4 of their friends would absolutely go to H-double hockey sticks. Throw your friends under the bus there, guys. In short, any way you're calculating this, there is no way that Charlie's Hotel accomplishes its true mission in under 14 million souls.
It's not possible.
Oh, sure, she can save a few wayward souls here and a few demons there, but if she's truly looking to break even, 14 million is the minimal calculation based on all the different methods that we just tried. And there's someone else working against her in this whole process too. The real twist hiding at the end of both of these shows is that the Immediate Murder Patrol, IMP, the organization that we follow in the sister show Hell of a Boss, is gonna be working directly against Charlie and her goals. The Imp is powered by a grimoire that they stole from a demon named Solace. In his very first appearance, Solace asks the Imp team to kill someone who's spreading the truth about global warming, hoping to increase that death rate we were talking about earlier.
He's trying to convince people global warming exists, doesn't it? Well, yes, but more people die if nothing is done about it.
Solace is specifically trying to increase the population of souls despite already existing overcrowding. It's almost like the two shows are working directly against each other. One is about souls getting out of heck, the other is about souls getting in. So will Charlie manage to create a system that's capable of saving some 14 million people or more a year, or will the native demon's plans ultimately stop her? It's honestly a fascinating dichotomy because the two shows are so clearly poised to clash against each other. Either side could end up the victor. And while Charlie may seem the more traditional protagonist to end up winning the day, these shows are anything but traditional. So I guess we'll just have to wait to see what
I'm interested to see how this is gonna go, man. This is a really good video.
Until then, it's all just a theory. A
film theory. Hey, listen, a film theory, a game theory, a food theory, man. This man has so many theories. I'm jealous. I need to get on his wave anyway. As always, it's your humble and gracious host, baby. I am signing off. Stay blessed, stay beautiful, and stay clean, man. Peace.